Topic Introduction: Strategic HRM and Employee Engagement. Employee engagement has become one of the most important strategic topics in human resource management. In the past, HR departments focused mainly on administrative tasks such as payroll, recruitment, and compliance. Today, HR plays a much more strategic role in shaping organizational culture and performance. Employee engagement refers to the level of commitment, enthusiasm, and emotional connection employees feel toward their work and organization. When employees are engaged, they are more motivated to perform well, contribute ideas, and support organizational goals. Organizations around the world are recognizing that engagement is directly linked to productivity, innovation, and long-term sustainability. Engaged employees are more likely to deliver excellent customer service, collaborate effectively with colleagues, and stay with the organization longer. In this topic, we will explore the meaning of employee engagement, key drivers of engagement, real-world examples from global companies, and the strategic role of HR in maintaining engagement. Understanding engagement is critical because it helps organizations build high-performance work environments. Learning outcomes. By the end of this topic, you should achieve several learning outcomes related to employee engagement within the strategic HRM framework. First, you should be able to explain the meaning and dimensions of employee engagement. This involves understanding how engagement differs from concepts such as job satisfaction and organizational commitment. Second, you should be able to identify the main drivers of engagement in modern organizations. These drivers may include leadership, communication, recognition, career development, and organizational culture. Third, you should be able to analyze real-world case studies of companies that have successfully implemented engagement strategies. Studying real organizations helps students understand how engagement concepts work in practice. Finally, you should be able to evaluate the role of HR in sustaining employee engagement across teams and departments. HR professionals must design systems and policies that encourage engagement at all levels of the organization. Overall, engagement goes beyond simple job satisfaction. It reflects the emotional energy and commitment employees bring to their work. What is employee engagement? Employee engagement refers to the emotional and psychological connection employees feel toward their work and organization. Unlike employees who simply perform tasks to meet job requirements, engaged employees go beyond minimum expectations. They are willing to contribute additional effort, share ideas, and actively support organizational goals. According to William Kahn, 1990, engagement occurs when employees fully express themselves physically, cognitively, and emotionally in their work roles. Research also identifies three key dimensions of engagement. First, vigor, high levels of energy and resilience at work. Second, dedication, strong involvement in work and a sense of pride and significance. Third, absorption, being fully concentrated and happily immersed in work. It is important to distinguish engagement from other related concepts. Job satisfaction refers to how happy employees are with their jobs. Let's talk about job involvement. Job involvement refers to the degree of participation in work activities. Engagement goes further because it reflects deep commitment and passion for organizational success. The 5 C's of engagement. One practical framework used in strategic HRM to understand engagement is the 5 C's of employee engagement. 1. Clarity. Employees must clearly understand organizational goals, expectations, and their role in achieving those goals. When employees lack clarity, they may feel confused or disconnected from the organization's mission. 2. Connection. Employees need to feel a sense of belonging within their teams and the organization. Strong relationships with colleagues and leaders increase engagement. 3. Confidence. Employees should believe they have the skills, support, and opportunities needed to succeed in their roles. 4. Contribution. Employees feel more engaged when they see how their work contributes to organizational success and societal impact. 5. Credibility. Trust in leadership and organizational fairness is essential for maintaining long-term engagement. When organizations successfully address these 5 factors, they create an environment where employees feel valued, motivated, and committed. Case study: Salesforce. Salesforce is widely recognized as one of the most engaged workplaces in the world. A key element of Salesforce's engagement strategy is its Ohana culture.
The word ohana means family in Hawaiian, emphasizing a culture of support, inclusivity, and collaboration. Salesforce also uses a goal alignment framework known as V2MOM, which stands for Vision, Values, Methods, Obstacles, and Measures. This system ensures that individual employee goals align with organizational strategy. Salesforce also actively listens to employees through surveys and employee councils, allowing employees to express concerns and ideas. As a result, Salesforce maintains high employee satisfaction, low turnover rates, and strong organizational resilience. However, as the company expanded globally, maintaining a consistent culture became challenging. Salesforce addressed this by strengthening its inclusive leadership practices. Outcomes of employee engagement. When organizations successfully engage their employees, the outcomes are significant. At the individual level, engaged employees experience higher well-being, greater motivation, stronger adaptability, and organizational citizenship behaviors, OCBs. OCBs refer to voluntary actions employees take to support colleagues and the organization beyond their formal job responsibilities. At the organizational level, engagement leads to higher productivity, increased profitability, greater innovation, and improved customer satisfaction. According to Gallup, 2020, companies with highly engaged teams experience approximately 21% higher profitability compared to less engaged organizations. On the other hand, disengagement can lead to high employee turnover, workplace conflicts, and increased HR costs. Therefore, engagement should be viewed as a strategic investment rather than an HR program. Case study: Adobe. Adobe provides an excellent example of how organizations can redesign performance management systems to improve engagement. Previously, Adobe used traditional annual performance reviews. However, these reviews were often stressful, time-consuming, and ineffective. Adobe replaced them with a system called check-ins. Check-ins involve ongoing conversations between managers and employees about goals, performance, development, and career growth. This continuous feedback system creates stronger relationships between employees and managers. The results were impressive. These include voluntary turnover decreased by approximately 30%, employee engagement improved, and productivity increased. However, managers initially struggled with the new system. Adobe addressed this by providing training and coaching for managers. Drivers of engagement, JDR model. The Job Demands, Resources, JDR model is a widely used framework in HR research to explain employee engagement. The model states that engagement depends on the balance between job demands and job resources. Job demands refer to aspects of work that require effort and may cause stress, such as heavy workloads, tight deadlines, emotional pressure, and role ambiguity. Job resources refer to factors that help employees perform effectively, such as autonomy, supportive leadership, opportunities for development, feedback, and adequate tools and technology. When employees have sufficient resources to handle their demands, they experience higher engagement and motivation. However, when demands exceed resources, employees may experience stress and burnout. Case study: Shopify. Shopify provides a modern example of engagement in the digital economy. The company emphasizes employee autonomy, creativity, and flexibility. Key engagement practices include remote-first working arrangements, psychological safety within teams, innovation initiatives such as hack days, and continuous learning and development opportunities. These practices encourage employees to experiment, innovate, and take ownership of their work. As a result, Shopify maintains high engagement scores and lower turnover compared to industry averages. However, giving employees significant autonomy created challenges for some managers who struggled with accountability. Shopify addressed this by providing leadership coaching and management training. Implications for HR. In modern organizations, HR professionals play a critical strategic role in fostering employee engagement. HR must act as architects of organizational culture and performance systems. This involves several key responsibilities: designing fair and motivating performance and reward systems, developing leaders who can inspire and communicate effectively, promoting diversity, equity, and inclusion, DEI, and using data analytics to monitor engagement levels.
HR must also integrate engagement strategies with other HR functions such as recruitment, training and development, performance management, and compensation systems. Therefore, HR professionals today need skills in data analytics, change management, emotional intelligence, and strategic thinking. Case study: Unilever. Unilever demonstrates how organizations can integrate engagement with purpose and sustainability. The company emphasizes a human experience strategy, which focuses on employees' overall well-being and sense of purpose. Key initiatives include leadership development programs focused on empathy and purpose, flexible working arrangements, well-being programs, and opportunities for global mobility and career growth. Unilever recognizes that employees are whole human beings with personal needs and aspirations. By addressing both professional and personal well-being, the company strengthens engagement and retention. The company has also used digital platforms to maintain engagement during hybrid work environments. Issues and trends in engagement. Employee engagement is evolving due to several major workplace trends. First, the rise of remote and hybrid work has changed how employees communicate and collaborate. Second, employees increasingly expect flexibility, autonomy, and meaningful work. Third, organizations are shifting from traditional HR practices to a broader employee experience (EX) approach. This approach focuses on the entire employee journey, from recruitment to career development. Another emerging issue is quiet quitting, where employees perform only the minimum required work due to disengagement. Technology is also transforming engagement measurement through AI and HR analytics. However, organizations must address ethical concerns such as privacy, surveillance, and algorithmic bias. Organizations that fail to adapt to these trends risk higher turnover and disengagement. To conclude this topic, you should reflect on several questions related to engagement. First, consider what factors personally drive your engagement at work or during your studies. Second, think about the 5 C's of engagement and identify which one you believe is most important. Third, evaluate whether the Adobe continuous feedback model would work effectively in your organization. Finally, reflect on how HR professionals can adapt engagement strategies for hybrid and digital workplaces. These reflections encourage you to think critically about how engagement strategies can be applied in your future leadership roles. All the best.